Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you so much for being here with us today as we discuss best practices for marketing your luxury listings in preparation for the holiday season. Quickly, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Olarsch, and I'm the Director of Customer Success in EMEA for Guesty, the industry's leading short-term rental property management platform. Joining us today are prominent thought leaders from the travel and short-term rental ecosystem. Please welcome Isabeau Miller, CEO and co-founder of Beckon, Alberto Ramos Elizondo, Chief Revenue Officer of Casai, and Nick Taylor, Managing Director of Nox Rentals. Thank you all for your participation today. In today's webinar, I will begin by sharing some of Guesty's data and insights, and then I will invite our panelists to discuss strategies on preparing your luxury listings for the holiday season. We'll then begin our live panel discussion and conclude with an interactive Q&A featuring questions from our audience. So I want to start by sharing our data, which shows that holiday booking volumes are primed to be some of the best yet. The remainder of the US and UK 2021 summer reservation volume from July through September is already 270% and 700% higher, respectively, when compared to the same time frame in 2020, and 80% and 22% higher, respectively, than what we saw in 2019. On the other side of the pond in Australia during the winter season, we also see a surge in bookings, 226% higher than 2020 volume and 12% higher than 2019. This is a significant sign of recovery with no indication that bookings will slow down as we continue the busy season. November and December 2021 reservation volume in the US is already 157% higher than November and December 2020. And 80% higher than November and December 2019. Now back to the summer season, reservation volume for June through August is not only a whopping 450% greater than it was last year, but it's even exceeding pre-COVID levels. And as consumer confidence for travel picks up, so has the amount they're willing to pay. For example, the average nightly rate in Australia is now sitting at 308 Australian dollars. In general, prices are surging and travel will come at a premium, which is no surprise considering pent-up demand to travel and the widespread lifting of restrictions. In both the US and UK, reservations will in general cost 30% more compared to last year and 20% more and 22% more compared to 2019 in the US and UK respectively. Not to mention that travelers are willing to pay more for less time. For the majority of the season, stays will be 14% shorter compared to last year, 4.3 nights in 2021 versus 5 nights in 2020. This summer's length of stay is almost the same as pre-COVID 2019's average length of 4.1 nights, signaling recovery. In general, shorter stays signal recovery, with travelers not sheltering in place for a longer period of time as they did during the height of the pandemic. And the holidays are going to be no exception. Let's take the US for example. Our promising summer booking data signals that this year's fall and winter holidays are also on track to see a surge in bookings, outperforming pre-COVID numbers in volume and prices. November and December 2021 reservation volume in the US is already 157% higher than November and December 2020 and 80% higher than November and December 2019. These numbers will only increase as we move closer to the fall and winter holidays, coupled with successful vaccine distribution and the desire to see family and friends in person over Thanksgiving and Christmas. Our data consistently shows that families are the #1 group expected to travel in 2021, so make sure you child-proof your home and invest in kid-friendly amenities like toys and cribs. You can also utilize Guesty's marketplace partner BabyQuip, which provides an online platform where guests can easily rent baby gear from cribs to car seats and much more. Everything is shipped and waiting for your guests upon arrival. Other potential partners, such as Care.com and Vacation Nannies UK, offer babysitter and nanny services on demand all over the world. Another great tip is to add a bit of luxury to your properties, and adding this doesn't have to cost you a ton of money. These simple investments listed on the screen can make a huge difference in your occupancy rate and make your property stand out from your competition. Let's be honest, when you have a hot tub and your competitor doesn't, it makes you stand out. Other specialty appliances like blenders, air purifiers, and even investing in a bigger TV or video game console can make the difference when families are looking for a place to stay. These small upgrades to give your guests the feel of luxury will help provide the hotel luxury feel with the comfort of a home. And given the higher booking rates we mentioned earlier, this will give you precedent to rent out your properties at a higher price point. And this leads us to Guesty. Guesty was built with the understanding that professional hosts and property management companies have a ton of tasks to accomplish on a daily basis. Whether it be listing distribution, staff management, report creation, or guest communication, our software provides solutions that help them automate these tasks in order to save valuable time so they can scale their businesses without sacrificing quality. Throughout COVID-19, our automation technology and ability to streamline and centralize operations has been a massive asset to property management companies, making it easier for them to quickly pivot their businesses, work remotely, and function with leaner teams. Now, as travel begins to normalize, those same tools will help them accommodate the welcome influx in bookings and the tasks that come along with it. It's also a great time to evaluate one of the most time-consuming and prone to error tasks that a property manager has to deal with: accounting. Over time, the needs of professional hosts and property management companies have evolved. And as our users have evolved, so have their accounting needs, which is why earlier this month, we officially launched Accounting by Guesty. Our new best-in-class automated trust accounting compatible system will eliminate repetitive tasks while keeping your business running smoothly. And as a special offer, if you opt into Accounting by Guesty by July 31st, 2021, you will receive 40% off the setup fee. So how do you add luxury to your listings? That's what we're going to discuss here today, starting with Isabeau Miller, who will share how her property management company, Beckon, built a unique brand and offering in order to differentiate itself from the competition. Over to you, Isabeau.
Thank you to Guesty for having us, and for all of you for spending your afternoon with us, depending on where you are. I guess it could be morning or evening as well. My name is Isabeau. I am the CEO of Beckon Homes. We are headquartered in Nashville, and we are quickly growing throughout the United States. I want to talk to you a little bit about how we position ourselves as the luxury property management solution in Tennessee and beyond. For us, the luxury experience starts with our property owners and trickles down to our guests. We have a gross rental revenue of about $3 million per year. We have a core team of 10 full-time employees based in Nashville, as well as dozens of others that we leverage as field ops representatives. And our core clients are typically real estate investors and developers who really are making this part of their life's work. So for us, luxury is not about being noticed, it's about being remembered. I think the most important thing that we keep in mind for our luxury travelers is that, especially this year more than ever, they are really seeking an extraordinary experience that is about reconnection. The past 18 months have meant that most of us have been isolated, especially the past couple holiday seasons. We've been separated from our family and friends. We have had small gatherings, and this is looking to be like the first holiday season in the past 18 months that we can really come together and celebrate. So now more than ever, instead of just making luxury about the extraordinary, we are actually trying to make the ordinary luxury. That means it starts with our hospitality team, which means that we get to know every single guest that's coming and why they're coming and who they're coming with, because that will change their entire experience and what we will also offer to them as one of our guests. First of all, luxury guests have certain expectations, of course. If we are just talking about the basics, if we're talking about a clean place and a well-equipped place with a blender or TV, then we're talking in our eyes about a high-end guest, whereas a luxury guest, we're talking about how can we take what they might have experienced at the Ritz-Carlton and translate that into a home environment. So there are a couple ways we do this. The first is we ask our guests, what are you most excited about? What made you book our listing? What made you stay with us? Sometimes they give us very robust answers, sometimes they don't, and that's okay because we understand that everybody has a different communication method. But more than asking our guests, we tell them what they can expect when they stay with us. We tell them every single detail of every single item that they can expect to find in our properties, because so much of meeting and surpassing expectations is about setting them at the forefront. Guesty helps us do that, of course, with their automated messaging, as well as all of their other tools like their check-in forms, so that we can be fully prepared when that guest arrives, that they know every detail has been covered for them ahead of time, and they're not concerned about, should I bring my crock pot? Should I bring my roasting pan to make a turkey at Thanksgiving? They know that we've got them covered. And if we didn't, the thing I tell my team is, we are a yes and company. So if somebody says, do you have everything we need to make a Thanksgiving dinner? The answer is yes. And what else do you need? So we will say we have the roasting pan, the baster, everything. And then from there, they can give us feedback on what else they might need to make their vacation perfect. Especially this year, more than ever, we're celebrating the special. So of course, we kind of touched on it in the beginning, Matt touched on how accommodating children is a huge piece, but also accommodating multi-generations. Again, this is the first time in 18 months we're able to gather with our family and friends. So what are the certain accommodations that different generations might need? We're thinking about, do we need to stock extra blankets? Do we need to have down alternative comforters in case somebody has a down allergy? Just things like that, that way nobody has to wonder if they're going to be okay. Holiday emotions run high, and you can use that to your benefit rather than fearing it. People want to be happy during the holidays. It is the easiest time to win with a guest, and it is also the easiest time to lose, because nobody wants their holiday to be anything less than perfect. So the best thing that we can do is communicate, 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 and make sure that there's special touches in our house. In our homes, we do that by partnering with local representatives, like services, for example, that might decorate a place with holiday decor, and or if we have several people that come in to celebrate a holiday in conjunction with another celebration, like a bachelorette party, a birthday. And so we partner with local specialists who can come into the property ahead of time and get the place all ready as if it was their own, and really wow our guests when they come on site. We also partner with local purveyors to provide our guests with gifts that they might appreciate, that are handmade in the area that they are staying in. And it also is great for our purveyors as well, because they get to be inside a property where there are potentially 10 to 12 people staying, and that will drive business to their locations as well. And we also want to provide internally anything that the guests will need. Again, just setting those expectations, asking what they need, and also telling them what we can provide, so that they can just check a box and say, yes, I would like that. Also, what makes your property unique during certain times, days, or seasons? We have several properties, for example, in the Nashville area that have amazing views of the 4th of July fireworks, or the amazing views of the New Year's Eve fireworks. So we really want to play that up in our listing now, so that if someone's coming for New Year's Eve, they know that I can just go off on my rooftop deck and I can watch the fireworks, and I can even call Beckon and see if they can get a sommelier over to do a wine and cheese tasting while I'm watching the New Year's Eve fireworks from my rooftop deck. So we're doing things like that and advertising for things like that now, so our guests know that that's something that they can count on from us. And of course, offering any add-ons that are holiday specific and unique to your guests. For example, we've been hosting several Make-A-Wish Foundation guests, and our team has been working with them to see what their kids like. And we just most recently decorated for a luau for a kid that was coming in with Make-A-Wish, because it was something special to them. And if someone's coming in and they say, oh, I don't really know, then we drop off a basket of our favorite goodies. And we tell them what we think they should like. And sometimes that's the best way to approach a guest as well. So chase and create the win and the magic. So you have to consider that the first impression a guest is going to have of you is what they see online. So what does your persona say about you? What does your communication say about you? What are your auto messages relaying? The most important thing that we've found with luxury travelers is they are choosing to stay in a home. They have a choice. They could stay in the Ritz-Carlton if they want to, but they are choosing to stay in a home because they want a personal experience and they want to have a personable relationship with their host. So the first way that you can be a luxury brand is by catering to the individual guest. From there, the communication, obviously, the arrival needs to be seamless. They need to know exactly, again, what the expectations are, when they're going to receive their code, what communication they're going to receive, and when. Then, of course, being available. Guesty makes this super easy with their services, of course, but internally building your team is a great way of making sure that your guest feels cared for. So the big decision here, as you're creating your luxury brands with your luxury properties, is deciding how you're going to execute this. Are you going to do it all, which is totally sustainable if you have a property or two? Will you delegate some things? Will you create a cleaning team and a maintenance team and delegate some things out, or will you outsource everything? Most of our clientele, of course, has decided to outsource everything because there is something to be said for economy of scale. And we, as a huge team with a large portfolio of properties, we have certain systems down that are just repeatable. And even though they are completely individualized to the guest, they're easy to scale up. And that's something that's really special about working with someone like us, an all-inclusive property manager. But there are certainly ways, and Guesty makes it really easy to do it on your own and or to work with people that can do it separately as well. The biggest thing with a luxury team and a luxury listing is having a hospitality-centric focus. I think if you've lost at the hospitality, then no matter how extraordinary your listing is, the guest needs to feel like they're in good hands. And most of these luxury travelers are used to a luxury hotel experience where they have 24/7 access to a concierge. So you're really kind of trying to create a 24/7 access point. You want to make sure that anybody you're working with, whether it's your cleaning team, a property manager, anybody, that they're in alignment with what you want your brand to be, that they see your vision and they're willing to execute it, that you have vetted the ways that your team might fail and you have plan A, B, and C behind them so that you know your guest will never be the one who is left in the dark. And then you want to just focus on whatever the guest luxury experience might be, how you would feel as a guest and how you would feel as a property owner if you are also a property manager. Thank you guys so much. You can feel free to connect with me or us online. We're at Beckon Homes on most social media sites, and I'm at Isabeau Miller on social media sites as well. I'd love to hear from you guys and how you're creating these luxury experiences and how I can help you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Isabeau. I'm now going to invite Alberto Ramos Elizondo to speak about the partnerships that Casai has created for their guests through experiences, benefits, and on-demand services to enhance the luxury-like experience that gives guests that extra feeling of exclusivity. Over to you, Alberto.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and thanks everyone who joined us. So before we talk about the partnerships, I want to talk a little bit about who we are at Casai. So Casai is a property, prop tech and hospitality company based in Mexico City, but mostly focused in Latin America. We were created, focused on the concept that luxury and short-term rentals or luxury and home rentals could be very well integrated. We thought that everything that a hotel can bring to a guest who's seeking a luxury experience can be done better at a home in some of the most valued and vibrant neighborhoods and communities in Latin America. We also have a deep focus on technology, but not in the aspect of having a Roomba in the room cycling around, but on really being able to use data and tech to predict guest needs, to make sure that everything is working right, and to really provide a service that beyond what we could do without these tools. So a little bit of what we've achieved in just 2 years of operations. We have 313 operating apartments and another 400 signed in Mexico City, Tulum, Puerto Vallarta, Rio de Janeiro, Florianopolis, Sao Paulo. So right now in Mexico and Brazil. We have an average rating of 4.88 with over almost 5,000 reviews, over 22,000 guests so far. And we have managed to maintain very high occupancy and ADR numbers throughout the pandemic. And we have managed to get a very high retention or recurrence number, even if we're only on 2 cities. And most of our guests are not able to necessarily come back, but those who can almost always will choose Casai again. So how have we managed these results, and how do we conceive of luxury in general? For us, we really think about Casai as a place where luxury meets locality. So I think traditionally we have thought of the Ritz-Carlton as, what does luxury mean? Luxury means that I have a butler, that people will be wearing top hats, that there's going to be a lot of marble, a lot of gold, or even a lot of just beautiful architecture, etc. As we advance, especially even before the pandemic, when people were, when the millennials were more and more a bigger and bigger part of people with high acquisition capabilities, luxury for us has meant something very different. It means exclusivity, but not in the way of like, this is so expensive, nobody else can afford it, but I am exclusivity on the way of like, I am getting an experience that most people in the world will not be able to have. And part of it, yes, exclusivity can come from cost or from traditional luxury, but a lot of it comes from locality. And this is where we really want to focus on. So it starts from the locations and how we search locations. In the neighborhoods that we go to places that basically you can't go with traditional hospitality, places that do not have sort of the type of big hotels, and really where people are going to be surprised, or they're going to have a different perspective of what the city is. And then we really work very, very closely with local artisans, designers, businesses, to have very, very sort of curated everything. Over 70% of the furniture in FF&E in our apartments is local. All of our amenities are local. All of our partnerships, extra services that we do on luxury are extremely local. And very much as Isabeau said, what we want to do is create a memorable experience, something that people won't forget. And locality has the advantage that no matter where these people travel again, they will not be able to have this sort of experience again, because it is something that can only exist in the places where we're at. This for us also means that you can bring exclusivity and luxury to a bit of a wider audience. It doesn't necessarily have to be limited to the highest paid customers, but you can give a luxury or exclusive experience to someone who's perhaps a bit younger or not in the highest rank of income. So talking a little bit about partnerships, I'm not going to stay too long on this slide, but I'm going to talk about sort of three ways that we have worked in terms of partnerships to create better experiences through amenities, through different services, in order to create this luxury feel and really focusing on the holidays, or the holidays as they represent in Latin America. So I think first of all, we want to talk about getaways. This is a new initiative that we have. Casai originally started as a direct management company, and now we are more and more working in different ways with different types of property owners and even property managers to provide better properties to our guests. So we are everything from direct distribution, revenue management, property management, and direct management as well. We have expanded into a variety of holiday destinations, and we have everything from a 2-room, 3-bathroom, beautiful apartment, as we can see with the Loretta Jungle Penthouse in Tulum, and we also have huge, lavish villas, as we can see with Villa Dalia in Cancun. But our experience, as I mentioned before, is that you can generate the luxury, that luxury feel in properties that are more affordable, as well as properties that are, very select, as the villas that I mentioned. So for getaways, what we have been doing is a lot on working with larger sort of pre-established partnership companies. We talk about Maxstream's concierge, that works in several of these holiday destinations, and they really have an all-inclusive sort of service. There is a lot of very high-end luxury aspects, such as yacht or limousine transportation, sommeliers, chefs, bartenders, security, as well as yacht trips and exclusive experiences. But as was mentioned before, a big part of this is on the childcare, home, making sure that people feel that their children and their families are going to be safe at home. What is, I think, and this is particular, not necessarily very, very unique. What is very unique is more our partnership with Jaunt, which is actually focused a lot on local experiences again. So this could be anything from going to the market, to the local market, to have someone cook for you there. There's even sort of more like spiritual experiences, like maybe going to local ruins or forests or other areas like that, and talking a lot about local culture, about the spirituality that represents in that space. The idea here, again, is to present something that people wouldn't even have thought about before. What is the challenge for us with these types of partnerships? Of course, is how do you introduce the guest to these experiences that maybe they won't be proactively asking for? What has worked a lot for us very well is to sort of establish the trip into several planning stages. So we, as soon as we get the reservation, first we share all of the very practical tips. Everybody wants to know that their reservation is confirmed, that they have the access, the address, everything very, very well set up. And then thanks to the Guesty feature that allows us to customize message flows depending on the lead time of the reservation, we would create different time windows for discovery for the guests. So if it's a very long lead time reservation, we would allow 1 week after reservation is done, and everyone, and we know that people have their flights, have all of it set up. We would send an exploratory email like, hey, what are your plans? What are you going to do? And then we include some of the possible things based on their profile. If it's a very short lead time lead time reservation, we would just send that 1 day after they're checked in and they're fine, and we know that they are set in place. On our more urban destinations, we are also, I think here we have a more direct partnership strategy where we don't necessarily go with an aggregator as we do for our beach destinations, but we work specifically with local businesses and what we call ambassadors as well as influencers. So the one example, for example, is Madre Cafe, which is very, very nice luxury cafe in the Roma Condesa region of Mexico City. Here, what we do is that we plan special dinners and special packages for specific holidays, and we co-market it with them. And we allow this experience to either be in the restaurant, in that as a Casai exclusive, or to be brought to the apartment. I think even now, with yes, everything is opening up, but some people want to be able to have this experience without having to necessarily go out, because they still feel safety is important. So the idea is to bring that locality into the apartment. We also focus a lot on the idea of living like a local. So some of the partnerships that we have and experience and services that we provide that we believe add luxury is just things that, like for example, Ciclo, who's a very nice exercise class available only in Mexico. So we focus on gyms, we focus on groceries, on things that are important for people to feel like a local, but we make it as easy as possible. And again, everything that can be experienced in the apartment. And then finally, to connect with this feeling of exclusivity of local exclusivity that we mentioned, we work with our influencers and ambassadors to present these different places, these different experiences as a recommendation. So even before we start building partners, we go to influential people, people who have who are designers, people who work as style editors, people who are actors, etc. And we ask them, what is the coolest thing that exists in this neighborhood? What do you recommend? We create the list, and then we work from that with these partners to bring these experiences into the apartments. And all of this allows us for people to feel like they are one of these super cool persons who knows the best in the city, and to something that maybe you wouldn't be able to find in Lonely Planet or TripAdvisor. Finally, we have also started to push, as we mentioned, connection is becoming more and more important. We have also started to create our Casai community effort. So it starts with the lounge. We have a co-working / co-living, well, not co-living, but co-working and just lounge space in the center of Roma Norte, where people can come in, different guests interact, make friends. Maybe they will meet each other and then go out on a trip. And we are beginning our calendar of special events with a mezcal tasting, yoga classes, dance classes, etc., to basically allow people to build community and again, to have an experience that they wouldn't have otherwise if they were just staying in a hotel. Great. So here's all the ways that you can contact and learn more about Casai. And thanks again for listening and for your time.
Thank you so much for that great insight, Alberto. We'll go ahead now and invite Nick Taylor from Nox Rentals to speak about the benefits of portfolio standardization to operations, effective marketing strategies towards guests, and techniques to target high-end travelers, especially families. Nick, please go ahead, take it away.
Thanks, Matthew and the Guesty team. It's a great honor to be able to present to you all today, and thank you very much for having me. We've been a partner with Guesty for about the last 4 or 5 years or so. We've enjoyed working with them and the rest of the community. It's a great community to be a part of. So thanks very much. And we've enjoyed the journey over the last 4 or 5 years. Obviously, we're somewhat of a unique market at the tip of Africa. What makes it quite interesting is that about 80% of our guests need to get on an airplane for 9 hours to get here at the very least. Some of our guests that come in from the United States and other parts of the world can spend a day and a half, not 2, just to get to our little tip of Africa. So we value long-haul guests and the commitment that everybody makes to try and get here. We don't focus too much on domestic tourism. Obviously, the last 18 months that's changed our strategy a fair bit, but predominantly we're in a long-haul international destination and predominantly marketed to foreign guests from various source markets such as Europe, United States, and the UK. Just some quick facts on Cape Town. It's known as the Mother City. Not many people know why it's known as the Mother City. There's a couple of suggestions on that. One being that it's quite a laid-back city. It's professional. We obviously have a good economic hub. We're known for technology in Africa, but it does tend to take 9 months to get anything done. And the other aspect of why it's called the Mother City is that it was established in 1652 as a refueling station for ships who were bound towards the east. We became known as being part of the spice route, and it was often referred to as the mother of South Africa because it gave birth to civilization here. So we're proud to be also regularly voted as one of the best places to visit by various esteemed publications such as the New York Times, Condé Nast, Travel and Leisure, Lonely Planet, and we've also won the greatest city in the world for the Telegraph Travel Readers Award in the United Kingdom. So people seem to enjoy our city, certainly as locals and residents here. We're privileged to live in such a beautiful city which offers so much to do, and I think that's part of the appeal of why people are prepared to travel this far to get here. We've also been named as one of the top 10 surf cities in the world. And that beautiful picture that you see on my screen there, that is known as Table Mountain, which is one of the new 7 wonders of nature. And it certainly is a majestic feature of our city and the reason why a lot of people travel to get here. And obviously what is often incorporated is people and our guests incorporating some safari travel to come in and see the Big Five, which obviously Africa is well known for, and to see the many other facets of South Africa and to experience a lot of our culture. Just in terms of Nox and who we are, we've been around for quite some time. We were founded in 2004. I'm a director in the business along with our founder. His name is Richard Marshall. And we are privileged to be able to operate on the Atlantic seaboard, which is also known as the Cape Riviera. The Atlantic seaboard is a section of the city which is sort of sandwiched in between beautiful mountains and the Atlantic Ocean. We've got a portfolio of just about 100 homes, all in the ultra premium luxury space. And the valuation of our portfolio is around about $100 million. We work in very, very high-end property. And through our portfolio, we accommodate around about 5,000 reservations per year. And as I mentioned, about 80% of our guests are flying in internationally, and they're long-haul travelers to get here. So today I'm just going to be covering a couple of points, looking at the benefits of standardizing portfolio to operations. Secondly, to look at the effective marketing strategies towards guests, and some of the techniques that we've used to target high-end travelers, and especially families. Just in terms of portfolio standardization, what is standardization? What does that mean? Well, to us, standardization really comes down to a key word or key term or phrase that we use whenever we were assessing any property, and that's to try and make sure that every property we take on has something called tourism potential. This is effectively our minimum property quality requirements. We want to make sure that every property that we represent and that we're able to market to our foreign guests or even our local guests has some kind of tourism potential, where they're coming through and they're leaving with some kind of an experience which has changed them. Hopefully it's, well, most of the time it's a good experience, or there is something unique about that property which has allowed them to have a memorable time with their friends or family, or whoever they might have traveled with. That does require a lot of on-the-ground management. We look after very large homes, and as we all know, property is almost like a living and breathing asset. It requires a lot of care and nurturing, and our operation to ensure that the upkeep of our properties are well maintained, well inspected, and good convenient spaces for our guests. In order to do that across 100-odd properties, we allocate a dedicated portfolio relations manager, or partner relations manager as we call them, to each of our homeowners, and they become the primary point of contact for our homeowners. We actually call our homeowners our partners. Our partners work very closely with our managers to make sure that if there's any recommendations for improvement or upgrades, or to meet a specific requirement that we might have rolled out across the portfolio, that a homeowner is committed to achieving that, and they commit to that through our management mandates and our exclusive management agreements. We also standardize our hospitality component, ensure that all of our staff are well trained and they understand exactly what is required of them in terms of delivery of guest service. And for us, we're competing with some very, very well-known and reputable five-star hotels in Cape Town. Competition is high, and it's our opportunity to try and attract guests to our luxury homes and to give them a unique experience which they might not have ever had staying in a hotel. So for us, it's about making sure that the guests are well managed and looked after throughout the guest journey. And that is predicated on a lot of standardization throughout the portfolio, as well as throughout delivery of service. In terms of marketing, we have quite a unique marketing strategy. Being founded in 2004, we were here way before the dawn of the online digital age. The OTAs these days that we're all familiar with, Booking.com, Airbnb, Marriott, you name it, they've come to the fore and everybody knows them very well. Sort of 15, 16 years ago, we relied extensively on what we call trade partners. Our trade partners are what we call destination specialists, typically your travel agencies and tour operators who are based in our foreign markets. So that might be the United Kingdom or Western Europe or somewhere there, and they specialize in destination travel. So they become a destination management expert, where they will effectively take one of their clients from Berlin, almost hold their hand through Africa. It can become quite logistically complicated, moving through a region which is somewhat unfamiliar to large parts of the world. And our trade partners will manage that process for those guests, right from them landing in Nairobi, Kenya, seeing the Big Five, going through the Serengeti, coming down to South Africa. And those tour operators are extremely valuable in terms of their ability to create a unique guest experience. So we're heavily reliant on those type of partners, and obviously that requires us to make sure that we're delivering that standardization and that level of service to them, so that we can guarantee that their guests will receive the same level of experience. Doesn't matter which property that they're staying in. So we've, obviously more recently become a little bit more focused on working with online travel agencies, and they have become a lot more of a producer in our market. And as people have become a little bit more accustomed and comfortable with using Airbnb and Booking.com and various other online portals, we're starting to see bookings coming through those channels. However, our trade partners are certainly more focused on delivering your multi-generational travel, on making sure that we understand exactly what the reason is for their clients wanting to travel through Africa. And that could be because it's a celebration, it's a family reunion, it might be an anniversary or milestone birthday. And we often see guests with the sort of the demographic of having grandparents, parents, and children traveling through Africa for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, which is quite lucky for us to be able to experience with them. And obviously, we've got to make sure that the guest experience is good. Our NPS is typically above 70. Our Google review score is very high, close to 5, and we've held Airbnb Superhost status for about the last 5 or 6 years. In terms of the techniques that we use to target high-end travelers, it has been touched on a fair bit by my fellow panelists today, but some of the main techniques is obviously to make sure that there is that element of personalized service. We are fortunate that we can provide high-end hospitality through daily housekeeping Monday through Sunday if required. That is a basic inclusion across every single property that we look after. We obviously have concierge and hosting teams who can also assist with that service delivery, and we have in-person check-ins, simply because of the complexity of a lot of the properties that we look after. They are large, very, very high-end premium homes with a lot of home technology, which does require a fair bit of familiarization for our guests. So we do need to deliver that personalized service upon arrival. In terms of other techniques, we also make sure that our portfolio is balanced. It's critical that we are attracting homeowners who want to be a part of our portfolio, and we actively make sure that we look at the supply to ensure that's meeting our demand. We tend to work in the sort of 3-bedroom and plus markets, is where the majority of our properties are. Obviously, one of our primary techniques, which I think is critical for all of us in this industry, is to make sure that every guest that stays with us is able to continue marketing their experience with us to many friends and family. Make them rave about you is one of our core sort of competencies, and we call them raving fans. We want all of our guests to be raving about us after the experience. Just finally, I'm just going to talk about how we've navigated COVID. Obviously, as I'm sure many markets have seen this, reservations took a bit of a knock. We were around about 50% down. We had to start looking at targeting domestic travelers, domestic tourists. We started marketing towards groups such as golf clubs and business societies, such as entrepreneurs organization, as well as regional marketing in specific regions in South Africa, such as Johannesburg. And we've been able to navigate COVID quite well. We're quite pleased where we are, and even more happier that, as Matthew mentioned at the beginning of today's webinar, we are starting to see a lot more forward bookings from our traditional markets, being the Europe and USA, already starting to show a lot of interest to come to South Africa and Cape Town in the traditional summer season for us, which is December through to March. And a lot of those inquiries are long. It obviously takes a long time to get here. There's a lot of planning. So what we are seeing is that people are committing to longer periods, 6 to 8 weeks, which has been a trend in across the globe for the last sort of 18 months or so, but it's pleasing for us to see that that is continuing. And I think we're well positioned here in Cape Town to be attracting digital nomads and this new theme of workations, which is becoming quite a popular concept. So much so that our local tourism ministry is considering extending visa periods from 3 months to 6 months, and really trying to make Cape Town an appealing destination for the world to come and visit and to become a local and to live like a local in its true sense for longer stays. That's us at Nox on the tip of Africa. We would love to see you, and please feel free to get in touch with us if any industry colleagues would like to come and visit our beautiful location. Thanks for your time today. It's been an honor to be part of this panel. And you're welcome to check out our website at noxrentals.com and contact me at nick@noxrentals.com also. And obviously our Facebook and Instagram handles are Nox Rentals and Nox Cape Town. Thanks everybody for having me, and look forward to hearing any questions that may come through.
Thank you so much for sharing, Nick. And again, thank you to all of our panelists today. With that, let's go ahead and kick off our panel discussion. And I'll start with a question addressed to everyone. And we'll start with Isabeau. Now that restrictions are lifting in many places worldwide, we see that travel is booming. What changes have you put in place to attract more guests to your properties?
The biggest thing that we have focused on with guests is the idea of being able to come together and celebrate, and the things that we are doing to make that possible. So I think that starts obviously with like fully equipping our properties with everything that they will need to celebrate. And especially highlighting some of the special touches we have, like cornhole games and things, the services that we're able to offer, like holiday decorating, things like that, that would really make a guest say, I'm so excited for this trip, for more than just getting to reconnect, but that my hosts understand how important that is to me. So I think we're kind of doubling, tripling down on the idea of reconnection and making reconnection a luxury experience.
That's fantastic. And Alberto, would you say similar kind of game plan for Casai?
Yeah, so currently, as we've seen an increase in travel and people lifting restrictions, what has been interesting for us is to always remain cautious about the peculiarities of the specific markets. So, we have two new sort of campaigns that we have in Mexico City. One is called Time to Travel, which is very much sort of jumping onto this emotions that people are feeling like it's time to get out, it's time to work together. And then something called You Are Casai, which is again building the community, people meeting each other. But simultaneously in Sao Paulo and specifically in Rio de Janeiro, situations have not improved yet. So I think what is interesting, what I would add from the Casai side, yes, it's preparing. Yes, it's making sure that you're shifting your mindset towards this new mode, but also to remain very, very cautious and make sure that we do not say anything that could be misconstrued. And the challenge that comes from having an international sort of multi-geography mindset, where some places are still not there yet.
What has Nox Rentals done to try to attract more guests?
Yeah, we've been focusing a lot on distribution, on marketing. We've fortunate enough to have been partnered up with the Marriott Homes and Villas International recently over the last sort of 6 months or so. So that's been a great relationship for us. We're starting to see some excellent traction through that channel, and we're really trying to focus on pricing. We're utilizing some of the tools that we get through Guesty to make sure that our pricing is accurate and that we're competing on attracting guests and trying to get them booking with us rather than in a traditional hotel. And then we've started to roll out some unique targeted marketing campaigns to various audiences. And I think with domestic travel still being quite a key component for us here in South Africa, we're still targeting a lot of domestic travel. And as we see markets opening up, we're watching with a keen eye on other regions. The UAE recently and the US have started allowing their citizens to come into South Africa. We have started rolling out targeted marketing campaigns to specific regions. And that's all based off the data that we're getting from Guesty and that we've been able to sort of get together over the last 15 or 16 years.
Excellent, great to hear. And let's come back to a unique, or I guess specific question for Isabeau. As we know, I think luxury isn't just defined by material objects, it's also a feeling. How does Beckon go about creating that feeling of luxury to property owners and guests alike?
I think our hospitality team is the best in the business. They come from a luxury travel background, and they're a mix of the best concierge in the world and also like your big sister, big brother. They just really give a personable experience where they are getting to know every single guest, their intricacies, and why they're coming to stay with us, which I think, the difference and sometimes the deciding factor between a guest staying with a high-end hotel and a guest staying in a home is because they want to feel like they are being hosted rather than they are being served. So we try to blend the two so that those guests who might think they want to be hosted, but they actually do want to be served, they still have that experience, but where they also get that home experience where you feel like you are being welcomed into someone's home with open arms, and it's really a, my home is your home mentality.
I couldn't agree more. That's really fantastic. I might have to book my next stay with Beckon now.
Please do.
Alberto, let's circle back to you. How has Casai's travel app and your commitment to tech specifically helped set you apart from competitors in the luxury rental space?
So I think on tech, we're at an interesting point in time right now where you have to simultaneously identify. We talked about multi-generation before, and the younger part of that multi-generation loves the fact that everything can be done on the app, that everything can be done without interacting with a single human being. The older part of that multi-generation sometimes is either neutral or even negative towards technology. We've had situations that I think are very eye-opening where we have all these sort of like smart devices, and we see people disconnecting the Google Homes, for example, because they think they're being recorded by them. So I think what is super important with tech is to really focus on the emotion that you want to create with it, not on tech for tech's sake. So I'll give two examples where we can provide incredible service because of our tech. One of it, the check-in process, where we have through the Guard app, we have our own integrated services for keys for keyless entry called Casai Key, and there our focus is not to appear high tech; it's to appear seamless and painless. Make sure that 100% of check-ins are 100% seamless, and I think this is both attractive. It's very good for people who are even maybe a little bit negative or suspicious of tech because it teaches you like this is really easier. This is not more complicated. And the other aspect, which is for us has become, I think it should be added to like the pyramid of needs of Maslow, is high internet speed. We are able not only to have sort of very good contracts with everyone, but just because we have like active monitoring of every single connection of every single apartment in Casai, like the moment that the internet is down, we don't have to wait for people to tell us. We can immediately tell them, hey, your internet is down. Can you check that your modem is connected? And like that kind of really focusing on needs and focusing on feelings, I think is what makes our experience better than competitors, because we're able to do things that simply cannot be done without that technology.
It's fantastic, and it's a nice proactive service, and it ties back to some of the things Isabeau said about that high level of service. Nick, can you elaborate a bit on how Nox Rentals' goal of better serving owners through providing excellent experiences to guests has elevated your business?
Yes, thank you, Matthew. Look, in terms of the relationship between our guests and our owners, we believe it's a symbiotic relationship. We believe that if we have happy guests, our owners will be happy. It's a relationship which works both ways, and it's absolutely critical that we look after our guests. They have a enriching experience. They leave good, positive reviews, and our homeowners will reap the benefits out of that. They will be able to obviously be proud to know that every guest that comes through their property is having an excellent stay. We're transparent with our reviews. We share those reviews with our homeowners. We engage with our homeowners to let them know if there has been any feedback or any criticism that might have been received, and we use that to improve our properties and make sure that that experience is better for the next set of guests. We believe that listening to our guests has allowed us to retain our homeowners. Some of our homeowners have been with us since day one back in 2004. So we've had some very, very long relationships with our homeowners. We're pleased to be able to have that relationship between the two of them.
Fantastic to hear. Thank you for sharing. We have a couple unanswered Q&A, so we'll go ahead and tackle those quickly. Specific question for Nick. One of our attendees today has an ambition to travel to Cape Town, but it has been put off by some concerns over safety. What is your honest view on the topic?
A good question. And in terms of your ambition to travel to Cape Town, thank you. You're welcome anytime. We have a responsibility to our community as well as our guests and anybody that has any intentions of traveling to be transparent and shoot straight about what the situation is. Fortunately, we tend to operate in areas which are extremely safe. We tend to monitor all of the safety and security within our properties. We're actively involved in the local community organizations to make sure that we're at the forefront of any new information that might be coming out. Currently, I'm sure most of you will be aware there is some unrest in other parts of South Africa at the moment that hasn't impacted Cape Town or the Western Cape. So my honest view is that you must come and experience Cape Town. If we believe that there is any reason not to, then obviously we will certainly be publicizing that, and I'm sure that there will be travel advisories being given by various local governments. But for the time being, we are welcoming guests from all over the world still, and there aren't any issues in Cape Town. So Phil, you're welcome to contact me directly should you have any concerns at all, and we'd love to host you.
Thanks so much, Nick. And I know for myself, I'm also very excited to visit you in Cape Town, hopefully sooner than later. So we have a attendee who has a brand new fourplex in Phoenix being launched in September, and they want to create luxury. Right now, they have the best appliances and countertops, good furniture, big TV, but very simple, and they want to give more. What would you say are some of your favorite indoor amenities to add to a property to increase the value and give the guests experience and at a high nightly rate?
I can add a few things. So some of the things that we like to do in our properties when we are designing them and working with our property owners to get them up and ready, we love to create what we call an Instagram wall or an Instagram section of the property where we either do like a mural with a local artist, or we do, and sometimes they're like interactive murals where someone can really like pose, and we'll even put like a ring light out or something. And it's kind of an added benefit for us because we ask them, of course, to tag us in the photos that they post. Sometimes we'll do like a faux living wall to give the same effect. Also doing something as easy as like an espresso machine with locally roasted beans from a local coffee shop. We also have been in talks with Peloton to start placing their fitness products in our households, especially during the pandemic. I think a lot of people, myself included, became Peloton junkies. So people will definitely pay an added price for to be able to keep up their workouts. And other things we love bidet toilet toppers. Like we partner with Brondell to put Swash bidet toppers in our homes, and guests love them. They're like heated toilet seats, and it's just kind of an extra little fun thing. Towel warmers that you can get on Amazon for like $150 to add to your property. And then also arcade or video games are always a hit as well for all ages. So it's fun.
One that I would add is that to make sure that the basic services are absolutely flawless. So like perfect sheets, perfect bed, perfect heat water, that like if I leave all of the showers on for 30 minutes, the temperature doesn't drop a little bit, and perfect internet. Because no matter, you can have the most incredible things in the world, and if any of those things fails even once, and the entire sort of experience gets down. And then something that's very cheap but a bit hard to scale, a handwritten note and an amenity that it was clearly coming from a conversation that you had with that guest. Probably like a $10, like a $15 bottle of wine, if you in the conversation it's discussed that this person is a wine junkie, that is like more valuable than a private amenity that would be worth 2 or 3 times as most if it's not clear that it came from a personal conversation.
Yeah, agreed. I'd just like to back that up, Alberto and Isabeau. I think understanding who your guests are and trying to personalize the experience will create a sense of luxury. If you're able to engage with your guests, we at Nox have a Nox shop where guests are able to, add in a breakfast pack or a massage or whatever it might be. We don't mark that up. It's merely as a guest service, and personalizing the guest journey does allow you to deliver a sense of luxury. So it doesn't necessarily need to be material possessions or anything. I think service can be can be a luxury service also.
Fantastic. Thank you all. And hopefully it sounds like there's some great ideas for this fourplex in Phoenix to be extremely, extremely successful. When hosting parties, how do you manage the damages?
So I think anybody would, of course, have to check with their local legislation. Nashville is super highly regulated, which is where the concentration of our portfolio is. And so hosting events is not something that we allow. That being said, of course, bachelorette parties or things like that book our homes as their home base. We do articulate that we don't want them to have a party while they're there. Whether or not that always happens, of course, we don't always have control over. So I think the most important thing we do is which kind of comes back around to the service of being a luxury property, is we're hosting them. And because of that, they really get to know our team. And I think that there is just a little bit of kind of guilt associated with that when they know that we're actual people and they've talked to us on the phone. And for the most part, that we manage a portfolio of about 60 luxury properties that would be capable of hosting a party. And every week we walk in and they look pretty much like we had last left them. Our guests are super respectful. So I think it really is about setting a tone of what your expectations are as a host, whether you have a single property or a whole portfolio worth of them. And then from there, we do collect security deposits, of course, and all of the standard industry practices. But I do think there's something to be said from a guest perception of leaving a property better than they found it when they have a personal investment into who their host is.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that response. I just want to say, if you want to hear about what's next for the short-term rental industry, we recently surveyed over 500 players across the travel and hospitality ecosystem to help us build a forecast for travel recovery. So we would like to invite you all to download this free report, where you can read more about our respondents' perspectives on everything from industry consolidation and pricing strategies to the people and destinations that will be the first to experience travel in a post-COVID world, and so much more. So be sure to check out the report for some truly compelling insights into the future of our industry. Again, thank you everyone so much for joining us today, and thank you so much to our panelists. We look forward to seeing everyone at the many upcoming virtual events we have planned for the short-term rental community, all of which will be posted on our events page at Guesty.com. Please don't hesitate to reach out to meetup@Guesty.com with any other questions you may have. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe. Thank you so much.